Hello, it's Deborah from the attic, and I've got some exciting news for you which I'll come to later in this video. But if you're new here, you're most welcome. If you're a returning friend, then welcome back again. If I haven't got around to answering some of the comments that have been left in the most recent videos, I apologise. Maybe this video will explain why I've been quite remiss on that. I will try and catch up. But the reason for today's video is just to tell you about a slightly different direction that things are going in. And it's all come out of the doodle drawings that I've been doing on my most recent videos, where I show you different ways that you can use very, very simple little doodles, and you can develop them and you can create all sorts of things that stem from your own creativity. Now, I think most of you know that I live in the southwest of France. I live in the Dordogne region of France, and it's very, very beautiful. We have numerous chateaux. We have many of what are officially designated the most beautiful villages in France, and we've got a score of those, I suppose, within a half-hour drive of where I live. And recently I've hooked up with my friend Jan and her event space to start offering workshops in doodle drawing and some other little things that I'll tell you about in just a moment. And we're using an old converted tobacco drying barn, and Jan has created a very beautiful workshop space. It's a lovely, calm space. You can throw wide the doors and you can hear the buzzing of the bees and the flowers outside, and you can see the far-reaching views across the valley. It's a really beautiful place, and what we've started are some workshops. Now, I know that if you're not in the region, this may not be what you want to hear, because you're going to be thinking, but I want to go too. But this is where we're starting from, with some day-long workshops, and we also have some afternoon workshops. And not only that, they are catered. So if you want to come for a lovely workshops to learn how to doodle something, for example, like these little buildings, this is a workshop that can be arranged, and I'll provide a list of everything that I'm going to be offering over the next few months during the summertime, so that if you're on holiday in the area or if you're living locally, you might want to have a wee look at this. And if you're not a local, I appreciate that will probably be most of you, then maybe you will just enjoy looking at the beautiful pictures of France. At each of my workshops, everyone is given a little booklet that takes them through all of the details of how they can start very simply and build up to drawing something like this. And having run this as a workshop a couple of weeks ago, I can tell you it does work. And from there, what do you do with that? So you can draw a little building. So what do? You can make bookmarks, such as these ones. Or you can start making your own cards. This is a little watercolour of a building. And here's another little scene with a hello die cut and glued onto it. This one is a little thank you card with the die cut thanks glued onto the card. And in this card, I've actually used some foam to raise some of the little cypress trees, we see lots of these around here, off the page and give it a 3D effect, along with a little die cut hello as well. You can then take it a stage further. You can make your own little doodle embroidery. You can see how simple this is. You can see that it's based on these images. And imagine if you had learned how to draw something and then you decided that you wanted to make a little embroidery. This is such a sweet little memento of a visit to France or a visit anywhere else. And it's a lovely thing to do, and it's only simple stitches. This has just been done with backstitch. And then you can take it to the next stage if you want, and you can add some extra stitches. These are just very long stitches, and these are French knots to indicate that there's this beautiful rose growing all over this little building. And if you want to do more, you can turn to needle felting, and you can make a little needle felt building with some beads around the bottom indicating some flowers. And taking the cypress trees again, I've developed that into a little tree ornament. And that might be a nice thing to make for Christmas, maybe as a gift, or to dangle on your own tree. So in my workshops, I'm showing people how they can go from very simple, very basic, and then expand it into a whole range of things that have a practical application, because I like these things to be practical. Of course, if you watch my monthly bullet journal videos, you will know that I use my drawings and my doodles to illustrate my monthly layouts. In March, I showed you how I used very simple little buildings and repeated them and just drew them down my page. And I explored different ways to use those very simple little buildings. And that led to an interesting month where I focused on drawing buildings. In another month, I drew plants in pots, and this is one of the workshops that I'm going to be offering. That led to a month where I explored different ways to use very simple doodling to draw plants in pots and then to take those plants and make them into a shape, and this on its own is also a workshop. And later in the year, inspired by what I saw in my garden, I was drawing blossom. And blossom's great because you can vary the branch or you can just do a little arrangement to fill any gap in your journal. And that led to a month where I focused on drawing petals, really large petalled flowers. And then I went on holiday to the mountainous central region of France, and again, rather than write words about places that we'd seen there, I decided to draw it in the most simple form. But this is a great reminder of what we saw, and then coming home to the river, which we live very close to, I decided that I would capture that in pictorial form. But none of this would have happened if I hadn't started from my very, very simple little basic houses. And I've also been looking at grasses and how I can simplify drawing a grass so that you can do this too. So this is how I use my doodle drawing. Doing workshops and showing other people how they can do this is really inspirational because people arrive at a workshop and they sit in front of a blank piece of paper and they don't really know how to do what I'm going to show them to do. And then we start from very simple line drawings and we build it up and we build it up. And each time we add a little bit more to the drawing, it adds a little bit more to people's confidence. So if you're in the area on holiday, or if you're a local, or if you're interested in doing any of these workshops, have a look at the events list. You can pause the video if you want to make a note of these dates. If you'd like to know more about the location where the workshops will take place, it's at the Barn St Cybranet, and I'll provide a link below this video. I'll also provide a link to the Gite, the self-catering accommodation that's run by Jan, who is the owner of the barn. Rather sweetly, the Gites are called Le Petit Jacques because the name of her dog is Jacques. So that's nice, it's a nice family affair. I'll also provide a link to my Instagram account where I'm posting fairly frequently, so if you'd like more regular updates, that's a great place to go. Who knows where the workshops might go? There's the potential there for residential, fully catered holidays, and that's something that I'm looking into as well, so that for people who are not local, there may be a way to get you here so that you can see what a beautiful little area of France we live in. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Please keep up to date with what's happening. I generally post every Friday, and in the meantime, stay safe and take care.